You have 20 minutes, inshallah.
Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وخاتم الأنبياء سيدنا محمد عبد الله ورسوله.
عليه الصلاة والسلام.
يا عباد الحي القيوم، يا أمة رسول الله الكرام، سلام الله عليكم ورحمته وبركاته. I'd like to start with Surah Al-Ahzab بعد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. My dear brother and sister, we gather here today to commemorate and to recognize our loved Prophet Muhammad alayhi afdal salam. But before I talk about Nuzul al-Quran and before I talk about the birth of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, I would like to take you back before that. Why I want to take you back and let you know and let you see what is the world was like before Nuzul al-Quran and before the birth of Rasulullah. In order for you to appreciate something, you have to actually been there or visit it. For example, if you fast for 3 consecutive days, you will really appreciate the food. And if you've been relying on a public transportation for a couple of years and people take you from A to B and asking this person to give you a ride here and there, and then after that you get your own car, you could really gonna appreciate the car. And the same thing if you camp in Alaska, which is really cold without a blanket, you're really gonna appreciate a really nice warm blanket later on. So what was the world like before Nuzul al-Quran and before the birth of Rasulullah alayhi salam? Brother and sister, the world was controlled by 2 major powers like the Soviet Union and the United States at one given time. And the Rome and the force, they were in full control of the world. At that time was no rules, no regulation, no justice, no equality of any kind. Anything and everything goes. And the people and the Arabs, they were more divided than ever. Some of you might tell me, well, hey brother, they still divided today. No, they were divided way more than that. And the people there, they are very, very dishonest. They do not really worship Allah. They were worshiping idols. And the woman at that time, they had no value to them. And the woman, they looked at them, they are inferior. And they went as far, these kuffar, for a female infant, they used to bury them alive. Can you imagine the world without female? Of course, some of you might say, well, the malls are going to close. And we don't have to do a lot of shopping, you know, but really it's not that. This is not... Exactly, you're going to save a lot of money. But really, if we are living without sisters, and they are playing the most important role of reproduction, the world will cease to exist. The world will end without the sisters.
Life will be right.
Exactly. So they play a very important role, and these people, they don't understand that. They went as far as, A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajeem, when they have a female infant, they bury it alive. This is not something to play around with. You know, so brother and sister, so when it was the darkest days for the human being, was nothing worse than this. But when Rasulullah sallallahu was born, everything started changing. And who is his father? Who is his father? His father is Abdullah ibn Abdul Muttalib. We need to know who is his father, what is his father's name, and what is his mother's name. His mother, her name is Amna bint Wahb. So we need to know who is his father and who is his mother. And then after he was, his mother got pregnant, and before delivery, his father, Abdullah, he passed away, died. And then who took care of him and watched over him for years is Abdul Muttalib, his grandfather. And his mother, and then now his mother afterwards died. Now he had no mother and no father to take care of him. So at that time, a while back, it was a custom when you have an infant to take him to the desert, to the Bedouin, and he could get suckled, to be drinking milk from another lady beside his mother. This way he can be smart and strong, and they take him to the desert, and then a lot of people, they go there. And then when, so they took him there, and then who went there to also look, they used to do this for a living, by the way, the breastfeeding, it was a business. And who went there to look for an infant to pick? Halima as-Sa'diyya, remember her name, and her husband Abdullah ibn al-Haris. So both of them, they went to go look for an infant child to breastfeed him, and they also were looking for a good payday, and then everyone, they was gone except who still waiting for someone to pick him up is Rasulullah. Nobody picked him up. Why? Because he had no father and no mother, and there's no money. So what they gonna do? They decide to leave him, and everyone left. And then Halima Sa'diyya and her husband Abdullah ibn Haris, they were debating, shall we take him and breastfeed him and take care of him? They would go back and forth, and they decided to go back and said, hey, we're gonna take him, and maybe it might be a good luck for us. And they decided to went back, and they decide, so, okay, we're gonna take him and breastfeed him, and God be with us. And then they decided to do that. And then before she took Rasulullah, was hardly any milk in her breast. And also she had a camel, and the camel hardly also produced any milk too. And then they decide, well, soon as she put him in her lap to breastfeed him, mashallah, it was plenty of milk to feed her own kids and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The barakah already started immediately, without any delay. And the camel, the one who was not given any milk, it was given abundance of milk to them and also to the neighborhood. They didn't know what to do with the milk. So brother and sister, what do we learn from this particular incident? I want you to think about it. What do we learn? What did you learn from this particular incident? These stories happens, brother and sister, for a reason for us to learn from it and to apply it in our life. Does anyone can tell me what did we learn from this particular incident? What we have learned, brother and sister, from Surah Al-Baqarah, بعد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم, وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم وعسى أن تحبوا شيئا وهو شر لكم والله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون. See, this is what we learn, is you may refuse. You know, can you imagine if they refused him? Someone else took him. And they're going to say, oh my Lord, we lost all this wealth. We lost all, because they were abundant of blessing after that, after he took him. So this is, brother and sister, this is what we need to learn. So now, who took care of him? His Abu Talib. And that's his grandfather. He took him and he took care of him for a long time. And then he started growing up, and now it started being well-liked in Mecca. By the way, of course, I'm sure all of you know, but we have to say it, he was born in Mecca. Okay, and he was born on a Monday and a day like this. And I was told many times by a lot of scholars, this is why he loved to fast on a Monday. Okay, so brother and sister, he started growing up, and people started trusting him. And then he was asked by Khadija to marry him and become his wife. And then one of the days, and he was also known by what? As-Sadiq al-Wa'd al-Amin. Alayhi salam. As-Sadiq al-Wa'd al-Amin. That he can be trusted, and if he promises you something, that he will deliver. And then this is why he was, Khadija, she decided to ask him, radiallahu anha wa ardaha, I want a man like that. So now, later on, he used to wonder about Allah's existence. And he decided to go alone by himself in the mountain, which is Jabal al-Nur, the mountain of light, which is Jabal al-Hara, and he go there and meditate and try to think why we are here, who's Allah, and so on. And then suddenly, Jibreel alayhi salam, he approached him with the first verses that from the Holy Quran that everyone knows, the first verses, which we have to also to share it in this occasion. I know you all know it, and you know it better than me, but we have to share it. بعد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. خلق الإنسان من علق. اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. Read in the name of your Lord who created you men from a cloth. Read, and your Lord is the most gracious, and the one who taught man by pen. And he taught man what he did not know. So brother and sister, so now here, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was mentioned in the Quran at least 5 times. One of them by his name Muhammad, and one by name Ahmad. And I'm going to share that with you. بعد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذ قال عيسى ابن مريم يا بني إسرائيل إني رسول الله إليكم مصدقا لما بين يدي من التوراة ومبشرا برسول يأتي من بعد اسمه أحمد عليه السلام. فلما جاءهم بالبينات قالوا هذا سحر مبين. Why they said the word he had a sihr mubin? Because he was coming with things that's beyond their imagination and visualization. How is this? One of them, he was telling them about how the infant is being created in the mother's womb. And at that time was no scanner, no body scan, none of the technology that we have today. How did he know these things? And also he was telling them about the 2 water when they meet in the sea. And then also he told them about the mountain that it have deep roots. And that the roots, brother and sister, of the mountain is a lot bigger than what you see above the ground. So he shared with them all this phenomena, and this is what they will call him Sahib, brother and sister. Yes. So here in Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was giving them a lot of knowledge. And let me share with you here from Surah Al-Naba, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألم نجعل الأرض مهادا والجبال أوتادا. So we have made the earth as a bed and the mountain as pegs, and then they will get surprised. And also وألقى في الأرض رواسي أن تميد بكم. And he has firmed the mountain in the earth so it would not shake with you. You're going to say, well, the earth is still shaking. No, without the mountain as Autad, the earth would really shake very, very serious. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put it in here for us. So brother and sister, in my conclusion here about Rasulullah, if we could summarize his characters. Who is he? And let me share with you his characters. He was very truthful and trustworthy. He was very honest, very generous, God-fearing, and he was just and fair, and he was well-liked, and he had a lot of integrity, and very wise and very knowledgeable. Because the thing is, some of the fraction of the things that I shared with you, it doesn't come by accident. It comes with knowledge. And the knowledge, brother and sister, you all know, came from Al-Hayy Al-Qayyum Al-Wahid Al-Ahad Allah. He did not make it. He did not create it. He was told what he had received from Jibreel alayhi salam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put us next to him يوم الحساب يوم القيامة. يا رحمن يا رحيم ارحمنا وادخلنا جنة الفردوس الأعلى. And let us see وجه رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم واعف عنا وادخلنا جنة الفردوس الأعلى. اللهم آمين. وسلام الله عليكم ورحمته وبركاته.